Margate Planning Board is called to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Tom Collins.
Here.
Glenn Mosnes.
Here.
Rich Patterson.
Here.
Mike Cristaldi.
Here.
Jim Galantino.
Here.
Margaret Duberholty. Craig Palmisano.
Here.
Despina Hess.
Here.
Remy Pelosi.
Late.
Joe DiGirolamo.
Here.
Ron Grupo.
Here.
Michael Bridger.
Here. For the record, Remy Pelosi's here.
Remy's here.
Remy's
We call you Miss Late.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the due public notice thereof and pursuant to the New Jersey State Sunshine Law. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the press, and a copy of same has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. All applicants are hereby advised that should you receive board approval tonight, you must come forward and sign a form which informs you regarding the timing of receiving building permits and mercantile licenses. At the end of your case tonight, please see the board administrator to sign the two information sheets. I'd like to hear a motion to approve the minutes of April 26, 2018.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Jim and Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to hear a motion for approval of decisions and resolutions. Number 23, 2012 Topaz Family Trust. Number 24, 2018, Jean Grimaldi. Number 25, 2018, Marjorie Stanek. And number 26, 2018, Brian and Dana Hiltner.
I'll make a motion.
Jim? Somebody? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. First case tonight, oh, wait a minute. We're going to hear from number 7 first. Kevin and Constance Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, consulting with the professionals, Mr. Barnhart being one of them, as well as Mr. Obelenis, who are going to present the application this evening, we have requested to push this application back to your June meeting. I have discussed this matter with members of the public who were present earlier, who have now left. There are some other members of the public who are present now. I've informed them June 28 is the meeting date. Clients are pretty engaged in talking to their neighbors, so to the extent that anybody else has a question, they will certainly let them know that it didn't go forward tonight, but with the board's indulgence, we would like to push it back to June 28th. If the board has any questions, we're here to answer, but we did have to do a little bit of work on the plan and want to come back in with the application that addresses as many of the neighbors' concerns as well as the city's concerns. And Mr. McLaren's report, we hadn't had a chance to properly respond, and another month might do us some good to wrap this up one way or the other.
I'll make that announcement if they don't, if it's okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
You're okay with that, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll just make the formal announcement that if anyone's here on the Kevin and Constance Martin application, which is 8511 Fulton Avenue, Block 714, Lot 8 and 10, that matter is being postponed until June 28th, 6:30 p.m. in this room. The applicant will not be required to republish or renotice.
Thank you, Mr. Manos. Thank you all. Have a good and safe Memorial Day weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Next case is Stacy Coppinger, 9709 Ventnor Avenue, Block 231, lots 14, in the C2 district to grant D variance for a C variance for side yards, combined side yard, lot area, and lot width, and possibly others. Taxes and water are current, and proof of advertising and notifying is satisfied. This is a continuance. For the record, Mr. Galantino and Mr. Collins have recused themselves.
And just so everyone's on the same page, was anyone not here last month? If anyone didn't participate in this last month, you got to step down now unless you listen to the tape. You weren't here last month? Okay. So Mr. Grupo is also going to be out. We still have 8, which 7's a full board, so you need 5 of 7, and this is a continuance from last month.
You can stay if you want, you just can't. If you want to stay, you can, but you just can't do
You
anything.
can't participate at all, though.
Right.
You can't ask questions or anything like that. You
Yeah.
can listen.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. It's a pleasure to be in front of you and in front of the board members again. For the record, my name is Michael Rand. I have law offices in Linwood, New Jersey, here on behalf of the applicant tonight, Stacy Coppinger. Board members, you may recall that we had appeared last month at the August 26th meeting. At that time, we had presented an application for a single-family residence to be demolished, the existing residence to be demolished. It's been there since 1957, and to have a new residence constructed on that site. The reason for the use variance is because the building is being entirely demolished, and in this zone, I understand that the first floor is commercial, the second floor is residential, but in this case, since 1957, it's been a residential premises all along anyway. Also, there are some C variances that we had respectfully requested in this application. They are side yard setbacks, and there are certain non-conforming conditions on the property that we would request to be reapproved as well in the normal course. So without objection, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring up Mr. Barnhart, with your permission.
Yes.
Let him just briefly go through the site plan again. The members have an architectural plan also to take a look at if there's any questions as well.
Thank you.
Barnhart?
John?
Barnhart?
John, I'll swear you in again. It's
been a long day, Mr. Chairman.
Name and address for the record.
John Barnhart,
And Michael Bowe.
And you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnhart, if you may, just briefly refresh the recollection of the board, if you could, with respect to the site plan and also with respect to the variances that are being requested before the board.
Sure, I went through all of my testimony last time, so I'll be brief. I know Mr. Patterson will appreciate that. The property as it exists today is a single-family home that sits in the C2 zoning district. It's an existing non-conforming lot and an existing non-conforming use. What the applicant is requesting to do is to tear down that home and build a home that is actually more in compliance with the ordinance than the current home is. It will improve upon the side yard setback slightly. It improves upon the front yard setback. But the issue is that because we are a single-family home in a commercial in the C2 district, and we do not have commercial on the ground floor, a use variance is necessary with this application. We did provide the testimony with regard to the use variance last time, so unless anybody needs to hear it again, I can go beyond that. The bulk variances are really all related to side yard. I think this is a classic case of a hardship condition with regard to the side yard setbacks. We have a 25-foot wide lot, so applying the strict definition of the ordinance for setbacks essentially renders the lot unbuildable. So we believe that we do have a hardship condition. The open issue last time was that there were no architectural elevations provided by an architect or prepared by an architect, which our client reached out to an architect and had elevations of the building prepared. You can see the front elevation side or both sides and the rear elevation of the building. You can see you've got the ground floor access into the building, a single car garage, and then 2 living levels above that.
John, I'm just going to call those A3 because last time my notes reflect there was an A1 and an A2. Architectural plans.
John,
Yes,
you have a floor plan?
I do not have a floor plan, no.
Why don't we have a floor plan?
I can't.
What do we vote?
I don't, this is the same as last month. I'm not the architect. There are floor plans, the modular floor plans I thought were submitted last month. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house.
You understand what I'm saying? We know you are.
We can make that a condition.
That's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathhouse.
If it doesn't comply, when it comes across my desk, I can reject it.
I mean, we're not asking for any variances related to parking. You know, he's putting on the record that it's, yeah, the builder's here. How about if he talks about that, about the building itself?
No, Roger just answered it.
Okay,
If it doesn't comply, he'll reject it.
fine. I have no other testimony unless anybody has any questions.
You need Atlantic County approvals on this, correct?
It's on a county roadway, yeah.
Correct.
Is there any problem with, from our end, backing out on the Ventnor Avenue?
The county will have a say in that?
The county does that.
I mean, you have
Well,
to
we
speak
made
into
an
the
issue over
microphone.
that because the lights to that.
Sorry.
They had no other option.
In my experience, that although they don't love it, they can't prohibit access to your lot, so.
Right, and the other, I don't want to say advantage, but there is a driveway next to it, so there won't be cars parking there, so your line of visibility will be greater because nobody's going to be parking next to it.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, while the board members are reviewing the architectural plans, we do have the builder who is going to construct this property. He's here to answer questions, should the board members have any questions about the construction. It's my understanding this builder has built this type home in Margate before. He's building some in Ventnor as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if any of the board members have them.
It was indicated the last meeting, this is a modular, is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
If you're going to testify, we'll swear him in. If
Yes,
you can answer
yes,
any questions.
absolutely. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to do that. But we did bring him here, and I brought him here specifically to answer your question.
Just to, while we're getting settled, it was said kind of in discussion that you're agreeing that the home's going to be 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, is that correct?
That's correct.
Question is, when will you be doing this construction, since it is a prefabricated home? You'll have to bring it in on flatbeds in order to be able to construct it. Will it be done during the summer months, or will it be done in the fall? What's the plan?
Did he get sworn in? Did he get sworn in?
Mr. Rand, we got to swear your witnesses in.
Mr. Chairman, this is Scott Farlow. Scott Farlow is Stacy Coppinger's brother. He is also going to be residing here. It's their family home as well. He's the one that is spearheading the construction and doing the work.
Okay, Scott Parlow?
Farlow, F-A-R-L-O-W.
Just your address for the record, and I'll swear you in.
9709 Ventnor Avenue?
And you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thanks.
The question was, when were you planning on
September.
constructing?
Like a good 2 weeks after Labor Day, so we don't impact any of the
Correct.
the summer traffic that we have?
Yes.
Can we make that a condition?
You could, you could, I mean, I think there's things in place that they can't block traffic and stuff like
When's the
that.
house going to be, when are you planning on demolishing the house?
In September.
Right, so you
End of
can't
September.
do any demolition until September
Right.
15th, so it's like
Yeah.
a moot point.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions of the builder? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the builder just said he can explain the floor plan if the members wish to hear about that.
No.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, Mr. Chairman,
Any-
that's it.
Anyone here from the public like to comment? Questions? Public portion is closed. Any further discussion or questions from the board?
And Mr. Rand, last time, I think you indicated you're in agreement with everything in Mr. McLaren's report?
That's correct.
Okay. Ready for a motion?
Yes.
Okay. This is the D variance, so we need 5 out of 7 votes, or there's a D variance in certain C variances, but because of D is involved, we need 5 out of 7 votes. So we need a motion for a D variance for use to permit a residential dwelling in the C2 zone where standalone residential dwellings are not permitted. There's several side yard setbacks which require C variances. Those would be a side yard setback to the right side of the building of 3.5 feet where 5 feet is required. Side yard setback to the left side of the building of 3.5 feet where 5 feet is required. The combined side yard setback is 7 feet where 10 feet is required. The side yard setback to the front decks on the right side of 3.5 feet where 5 feet is required. Side yard setback on the left side to the front deck of 3.5 feet where 5 feet is required, and a side yard setback to the rear deck on the right side of 3.5 feet where 5 feet is required. The conditions will be that the house shall be 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and all conditions set forth in Mr. McLaren's report of April 26, 2018, and the applicant will comply with all the representations made during the course of the hearing.
I hear a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Mike,
I'll second.
Craig.
Glenn Kozlowski,
I think it's pretty clear that there's a hardship here. To deny it would certainly deprive the owners of the actual use of that property. I would have hoped to see something architecturally more interesting. Let me leave out the more, at all interesting. But is what it is. Looks like most everything else in town. I'll vote yes.
Rich Patterson,
I also vote yes. It's a continuation of a use that's been there for years and years. I don't see a detriment to having the single-family home there where it's been. I vote yes.
Mike Cristaldi,
As I stated before, I mean, we get stuff put in front of us to vote on. We don't know what we're voting on. And then we have backlash from it. So I'm just making that statement again about the drawings having the right measurements on it and what we need to vote on. With all that said and what everybody else said, I'm still voting yes on it.
Greg Palmisano,
Yeah, the house is in need of rehabilitation. The D variance is okay for keeping it residential, and existing nonconformities are there, and it's going to be an improvement to the property. I approve it.
Despina Head,
First, I'll vote in favor of the D variance. I agree with Rich and Clem as well. It would create an undue hardship on the applicant to not be able to continue use of his property. It's a 25-foot lot. It's been in use as a single-family home since 1957. I don't see an issue with continuing that use. As to all the C variances being requested, again, due to the small lot size and the surrounding 2 properties, just taking another look at the pictures I took, you see a large multifamily use to the left and then the commercial use. So I don't see any hardship or detriment to the neighbors. For all those reasons, I vote in favor of the application.
Remy Pelosi,
I'll vote to approve, and I'm in agreement with Despina Hess's reasons put on the record.
Michael Richmond,
Yeah, I'm going to vote to approve it. I really don't see what else you could do there. There's been an existing house there, and I don't think commercial would be really viable in that area, so I'm going to vote yes.
application passes 7-0. Michael Lee,
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
The comments are noted the next time I bring an application.
Please, I mean, we're getting a lot of backlash from, we're voting on stuff, then when it's built, it's like, what's this? We voted on something we didn't really have the right information on, and I think it should be noted that we get decent drawings so we can vote on it.
Fair point, and I appreciate that. It's just with the combination of a planning zoning board,
Yes.
sometimes it's a little bit different than what you're asking for from other zoning boards. So, but your comments have certainly been noted.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public have any comments? We have other business. We need to discuss the status of the zoning ordinance changes. Roger?
They're in process now. We're getting rid of some of those silly rules that, like the houses being too close to each other if you're compliant. We're also looking at the overlay zone down on Washington Avenue in the beachfront area. One suggestion would be this property you just voted on today, right next door is multifamily zone. Maybe put it in a multifamily zone, so they wouldn't have to come in for a use variance. I mean, obviously, it's going to stay in that use for a long time. But hopefully, within a couple of weeks, we'll be looking at some revisions to the zoning ordinance.
Well, most of it's things we've already talked about. I mean,
Correct.
Grass strips in the front. I mean,
Grass
that
strips in the
stuff's hasn't happened yet. I thought it happened a while ago, but the guy that was preparing the master plan left and nothing's been done. So we have not done any of those revisions except a few that we've done with a roof pitch and whatever. We've done a few, but most of the ones we've talked about in the past aren't done yet. So that's what we're trying to do.
Third floor decks, I don't think we've done yet. On
Right.
Porch Club.
Well,
The third,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we have
Yeah.
to vote on it, yes.
Yeah.
third floor,
Well, we will. We'll get that within a couple of weeks.
And instead of rewriting the entire ordinance like they originally wanted to, we're just revising this book, keeping it simple. Right.
Roger, is there a way that,
thank
you.
I like everything, I would just love, anytime we have a single-family zoned area, I'd love to keep it that way forever. I wish,
But this wasn't a single-family
right,
zone
I
area,
understand, it was
right?
the commercial, but I'm just saying,
Commercial, right.
I agreed with everything.
Yes,
Everything that
right.
stood out.
And one topic that came up, and this is happening in a lot of towns, where they'll give you 9 feet. You know, right now, we have BFE plus our freeboard to the first floor. There's been some discussion of giving them an extra 9 feet to put garages underneath the houses, then start measuring the height from the 9 feet. Do we want to, I think we kind of talked about it. I thought we were in favor of that. Well, given an incentive to get rid of these detached garages, which aren't used as garages anymore, and 4 deep parking driveways that aren't used as driveways for half of it,
And free up more landscaping.
free up more landscaping so you can put a patio in without a variance or sneaking it in there. It's gonna be a higher house, but everything's getting higher now anyway.
If we do that, though, didn't we just up the height to 30 from?
Yes.
So
Well,
I
no,
think
no,
we
no.
should bring it to the.
30's still the same.
That's still,
It's
the
30
problem
from a
is
higher point. Yeah, the
you
total
take
height
this-
would be
So it's gonna
higher.
be going up because it's from a higher point.
Right.
That's the only thing.
But in a lot of cases, with the freeboard situation we have right now, you're at like 7 feet now. So give an extra 2 feet to put a garage under there, and you get rid of the parking problem.
So the level,
It's not a requirement, it's just an option.
the level of the first floor would be 9 foot above curb,
Existing grade, average existing grade for that course.
Is 9 feet what you need for a garage? 8 feet's not enough?
Well, it would be 9 feet to the top of the floor.
Garage plus a foot of construction.
Oh, so the ceiling will be 8 feet. Okay.
Now the floor,
No,
is the ceiling 8, 1.
Yeah, so the ceiling's at 8 feet. Right.
7.6 door,
We need 8 foot.
7.6 door, low thirds tractor.
If they wanted, was the talk about if they wanted detached garage, it would count towards? Or was that, I don't remember.
Well-
We talked about that.
That's another thing. Do we want to start counting detached garages as building coverage? They haven't been. I think if you start counting them as building coverage, you're going to see a lot of mitigation to these 9-foot high garages, which is not a bad thing. And the other thing is, these grass strips in the driveways, they're getting filled in all the time.
All the time. Every time I look, I see pavers going in places.
Can't you stop that?
What?
Can't you stop that?
I'm not going to.
Well,
I'm not going to. I saw one the other day, 100 block of Lancaster Street. The whole lawn was coming out. The guy was putting it in. Yeah.
Was it that big house on the left with the pool in there?
200 block.
Isn't that garage too close to the neighbor's house, too?
So, if we raise, which I like that idea. So then if we do that, we're gonna say you're not allowed to have a detached garage too?
No, if you go under the house, you can't have a detached
Right,
garage.
right. So that, so is it gonna be an either or? It's gonna be an either or situation.
It's
You
either
can word it, if you desire the parking to be below the building, we'll give you 9 feet, but you can't have a detached garage.
Right.
Right, but if
Right.
you have a detached garage, the question was, will it now count towards building coverage to encourage people to go into the house? Or do you think that they should be, just leave them have the option if they want a lower house?
Well, all right, so let's say you have a house that's already, that you just wanna build a garage and you're not building a new house or something like that. So,
Right.
you know, you don't wanna jack your house up, so what are we gonna do about that? Are we gonna say now that it's building coverage? I mean, land coverage? You know what I'm saying?
So you have an existing house, say you're right at the building coverage requirements. Right now, detached garages do not count against building coverage.
Right.
So they don't need a variance for that.
Right.
The landscape coverage requirement might not be met, so they would need a variance for that perhaps. More than likely, if you're gonna add paving.
Does the detached garage or a shed affect landscape coverage?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
I haven't mowed a shed too long. I haven't mowed a shed in quite a while.
I think that,
But I think,
No, it's-
are
it's
you
ve-
saying
our
that
ordinance says
if
vegetative
you already
coverage.
have a house without a garage, that's the maximum building coverage, and all you wanna do is add a garage, that's gonna hurt you? Because
Right.
you'd need a variance. Or would you
Right.
need a variance, or could there be exceptions if it's a existing house that meets the coverage?
Well, if they have building coverage to give, it shouldn't be an issue.
No, the house meets the building coverage, exactly, but they don't have a garage.
Right.
Now they wanna put in a detached garage.
Currently, it does not count against building coverage.
right, so I think that I don't think we should penalize people.
Right.
I think
They
that
can't lift their house, or what-
Yeah, right, so maybe we should write it in a way that maybe it's just for new construction where that would come into play, or raise,
Or
house
raised
raising.
houses,
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not gonna make you raise a house to put a garage in
Right.
there if you don't want that.
Yeah,
Right.
but should they have to come for a variance? They shouldn't do that either.
Well, then, I don't think you wanna count garages, detached garages as building coverage then.
Then just don't do it at all.
The incentive is you can have a bigger yard with a patio without a detached garage.
Right.
I can't imagine someone.
Or a pool.
If they're gonna do that and raise the house and build garages underneath, that they're also gonna, do a detached
No,
garage.
we're not saying they would.
Right. So maybe what we would say is that if you build a home or raise a home and you're gonna put the parking underneath, you can't have a detached garage. Or actually, you could have a detached garage, but maybe we would say in that instance, it would count against your lot coverage. So if you have a giant
That's not
sized
true.
lot, you raise it, no?
Look, we also have a problem with landscape coverage here, too. This is a
Right.
great way to get more greenery.
They can say that they're converting it.
Like, yeah, I'm all
And
for
they
it.
still get their garage,
Right.
plus the storage
I
of
just
the
don't
whole
wanna
rest of it.
penalize people that are in a situation, like I said, where their house, they don't wanna raise
Right.
their house and blah, 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 but they wanna put a garage in, and they have the ability to do that, so.
The other incentive is if you put the parking underneath, your side yard setbacks will be more balanced.
Right. Yeah, no, like I said.
You're not gonna shove it on one side to get a driveway, you don't have to do that anymore.
No, I'm all for that, doing allowing that height, extra height to get the garage in. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't wanna penalize people that wanna do a garage.
If they can't raise the,
So maybe we should just say, that what you said, that the garage wouldn't count towards building coverage.
if
Like
they,
it does now.
for an existing house, if they wanna
Right,
add a
existing-
garage.
Right, correct.
And they can't put it underneath,
Can you do that though? Can you distinguish between new construction and existing homes?
there's a practical reason to.
There's a practical reason, but you're creating two definitions for the same.
Again, I see the issue being lot coverage versus building coverage.
Don't you think that would be rare enough that they could do a variance or a committee or something? Somebody that doesn't have a garage that wants to add a garage.
To me,
I've never
anytime
seen
somebody
that.
wants to add off-street parking, that's a benefit, so.
No, I'm saying what your situation, I haven't come across that in
Right.
ever,
Thought
so
about
I'm.
doing it.
I did
That's
too.
why I'm
I
checking.
did too.
I understand,
No,
but
you're
I'm saying
right.
it's a rarity that maybe it's not a
Right.
big
And
deal
now
that
what
they.
about sheds? So if you raise the house and you put the parking underneath, you're still gonna be allowed to have a shed?
Sure,
Yeah, okay,
as long as you meet the landscape requirements.
right.
But that's no different than what it is
No,
now.
right.
No difference.
Okay.
Right, but it'll be easier because you have the garage landscape now.
Right.
Right,
Well, you're gonna have storage underneath the house, so the likelihood of you needing a shed will be a lot
Right.
less
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm
Right.
saying, you now get the rest of the house
right,
available.
yeah.
It's only for storage.
Right, but if
No,
it's
you
shed-
can, CPA offices are allowed under there.
Roger, so people will have the storage underneath, they'll still build a shed, and use the shed for a different purpose. You're still gonna get that building.
Oh, stop complaining about
80
it.
square feet,
Well, I'm not.
an 80 square foot liquor cabinet outside, yes. Is that all right?
Sheds only allowed if they have bars in them.
No electricity there.
They're allowed, there's no prohibition, I
Yeah,
guess.
you can put a liquor in a shed.
Either this 9 foot or the regular.
If you want parking below your house,
Plus.
one incentive is, we'll give you 9 feet to put the parking underneath the house, as long as you comply with the parking standards.
But if you don't, and you wanna build a garage separate, it's gonna count against your building coverage.
Then you have to build a BFE plus whatever.
Floor can go back down
Hey, Roger.
to freeboard plus the,
No, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about,
I'm talking about the choice, one way or the other.
yeah, and if they elect to have the separate garage, then that's gonna count as building coverage or lot coverage, which
So
it
where-
doesn't now.
Where are we going with height with this?
The height of the building, instead of here, it's gonna be here.
All right, let me just I live on Argyle Avenue, my street's at 11-1. So now I'm already at 19.
11.1 from sea level.
No, 11-1 at the curb. There were old B zones up there.
So that's an old,
I
that's the old
understand
data.
that, but from ground level, it's not
Yeah,
gonna be any
but I mean,
different.
it's still,
So you're at 9.9. 9.8.
so you're at 18 before you start with a house.
Elevation.
From
See
sea
how
level.
where I'm going?
Mike.
You're at 9, and you're another 9 for this garage.
Right, but
Now, what's you're saying we're taking.
the top of
that-
curb 9 is actually 0 in
We're
reference.
taking it from ground level, not sea level, so it's gonna be the same all over town, it's gonna be 9 foot off the ground all over town.
Oh, no matter where you're at, it's 9 foot?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The other
I
incentive,
was taking,
the other incentive for doing that with
Were you guys at Mike's
average
garage?
grade versus top of curb,
What's in your garage? Roger, we're still gonna have attached garage, even if it's got a little breezeway roof. Like, is his garage still gonna, it's gonna be attached? My garage is an attached garage.
it's attached, yes.
Only because the roof's.
Right.
Correct. That doesn't make sense. I think, why should that be considered attached? Other than this being, see, they got common walls that are attached. They just got a little roof extension.
But if they're attached, it counts towards building coverage, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's different. If it's detached, it doesn't count towards building coverage, if it's attached, it does.
That's what I'm getting at, the definition of attached versus detached. I don't think just because they've got a little 3-foot wide roof to go from the garage into the utility room, it should be considered.
So then
attached.
you would you rather have it that that doesn't count as building coverage if it's an attached garage with just a roof?
I think it should be consistent.
I don't see the problem. I don't get it. I
I
just,
don't think it should be considered attached unless they have a common wall. Closed in.
Or enclosed breezeway or something.
One wall. Well, enclosed in walls, it's, yeah, but I'm good during the winter, not during the summer.
I,
If it's just a roof, I don't think it should be considered attached.
but it's a penalty if it's attached. It now counts as ground coverage, so what's the problem? That's what I'm
It's an
saying.
advantage to the city, I think,
Yeah.
counting it.
That's part of the problem.
But it's not it makes it makes them have less of a house, it makes them have less of anything because it's now
But the
counted.
garage is still covering the same amount of ground.
And it's counting now. It's
Well,
counting
one-
as coverage.
One way it does and one way it doesn't.
Exactly.
That makes sense. It's still there and it's still covering the same amount of
Okay.
ground.
So
I don't see a problem. Didn't you just hear we're gonna now make the garages, if they're detached, we're gonna make them the same? Were you here for that part? We're gonna make it count towards ground coverage, just like an attached garage.
Oh, we are? I thought we,
I think it should be either way.
But that's what we were just talking about.
Covering ground, it should be coverage, either both of them eliminated.
But it didn't. The old garages never counted as ground cover. So that we're discussing now whether to count them, not the detached garages, the detached garages.
We just did it with swimming pools.
If you're allowed to put it underneath the house and you opt not to put it under the house, should we count that as ground coverage, which would make them equal? That's what we're
No,
discussing
it's-
right now.
building coverage versus lot coverage are two
What's the
different animals.
difference?
Building coverage is the building. Lot coverage is impervious.
Well, if it's an attached garage, does it count for building coverage?
Attached, yes.
Yes.
Detached,
So that's
no.
Covers the same amount of ground.
Yes.
The effect of doing what we're thinking of, the people that are going to be building these garages under their homes, they would have done it whether or not we make this change. Because just personal preference, I don't love that high look of the home. I get the practical benefits of it, but I think regardless of this change, the people that were going to have the garages under their home, they still would do it. This would just
Well, they
give them
can't
the
because they would lose
benefit.
building height.
Right.
Right, this would,
Oh, they wouldn't have been able to. So
No.
They wouldn't have been
lower
able to.
With the detached?
Exactly. They
How
could have
much
come
lower?
higher, but every foot they came higher, they would lose off the top of their house.
Right.
Because the 30 feet would start at the proper level. If they want to bring the garage up past that, they're going to lose that off the top of their house.
they would either come in for a height variance or they would lose the half story.
I think, having the garages under the house is gonna make more people more prone to using their garages, like you said, when you got these side yard driveways with like stacked with 4 cars, it's very, you know.
They're
and when
turning
the
into
9-foot
patios now?
driveway, you know, it's like almost,
But you're still going to need a partial driveway to meet, if you have 3
Right.
cars, you're going to have one in front of the garage, one in the garage. You're still going to need a spot
yeah.
on one side of the house.
We'll
anyway.
maintain that requirement that they have to be 18 feet back for the garage door.
That's a good one, too.
Doors, garage doors.
Right.
Well, that's not maintained. That's not a rule.
We should make that.
It's going to be,
Well, it should be a rule. That was our Thurlow Avenue problem.
Right.
that will be part of that incentive.
But then the third spot's going to still have to be next to the house.
Right,
No,
but
be-
at least maybe one.
No,
one
Yeah, you only
spot.
need to get one,
Yeah.
so they're not stacked
Instead
up
of
for it.
4.
Yeah.
No, it'll be 2 out front and 2 in the
He's
garage.
saying 2 garage doors.
Oh, you're saying double garages under
If they choose that.
I don't like it.
So that would be a way to stop
It's
that.
gonna depend on the size of the house, right? How many, what the requirement is.
Then you got curb cuts and,
You can't do it on an 18-foot wide house.
Right.
you get a problem on the 40-foot lots putting 2 cars there.
Right, so there is gonna have to be side
Yeah.
yard and, you know,
A double garage is gonna hurt the whole front yard.
Possibly.
Where's
But
your steps gonna be?
They're all, everyone that's coming into the MF zone is complying with that.
yeah, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a lot of nuances today, you know? Like, what are we, you know, are stairs and landings now, like, how's that considered with the setbacks?
If it's because of
Because
height,
like
it
what
could go
you
to the
said,
property
if,
line.
you know, if you only have so much of a wide lot and you're having this double underneath, then, you know, like,
Right.
we might have to say, okay, well, then you can have your stairs and landings, you know, closer to the side yard setback. So, you know, you can get into the house besides going,
But if you have 2 garages too, you're just gonna have a cement front yard. I think it's gonna be
Curb
trouble
cuts.
putting
You got double curb cuts and everything.
two, both.
yeah, that's another good point.
And then the
You
other
could,
thing,
you could make it the 2 cars in the garage, stacked.
that's like the side garage door we had last week, and
Right.
they're gonna fill that garage up and not be used as a car space.
That was in the whole back. There was still room for a
All
car
out
with that
front,
was.
every house must be
You know-
concrete and walls.
It's kind of really stupid. All this stems from nobody wants any soffits in their house. Because we can't put the ductwork underneath because the house too low, so we went to freeboard higher. And it's just jamming our houses higher and higher.
Well, it's FEMA's jamming our houses higher and higher, and the building code saying we have to use treated
We didn't
lumber
put
and
them
all
up as
that.
high as we did.
They
We're
did,
at
but
14 now.
we just had to go up because of the wood, so we could use regular wood instead of treated
No,
wood.
that's so ductwork fits underneath.
No, it's just because you didn't want to use treated wood. Ventnor was saying if you're at that level, you have to use treated wood, so we went up another foot, so you didn't have to use treated wood. That was the latest thing we did.
The treated wood was the plate, that was it.
You were telling me it was thousands and thousands of dollars if
Oh,
we
right.
didn't raise it
It's
up.
another $3,000.
Floor
Just for
joists
that
have to
house.
be pressure treated.
What's that?
Floor joists by code have to be pressure treated.
Right.
At 14?
No, at the
No,
old.
that made us raise it another foot, so you didn't have to do
Yeah,
that.
I thought that was at 13 now, with 12 at
13
the,
plus a foot. Plus the foot to the
13?
finished floor.
Yeah, it's not people, it's the rules that they keep throwing at us.
Could we
They're-
do this?
Jimmy, can you explain,
allowance that's
can you
in
just
certain
explain that
zones
one?
that
Like,
are,
Wait a
high
second, wait, one at a
congestion?
time. Say that again?
I'm wondering, because it's practically a major benefit, I'm wondering if we could do it in the high congestion areas, like in certain zones,
Allow the parking underneath only in certain
with the
zones?
extra, yeah.
So one guy here and the next can do it, and the guy next door can't.
Not the guy next door, but the guy
Next block.
across the room maybe can't. I don't know how
But I
you
think you
zone
would
it
base
out.
that, would you base it on neighborhoods? I mean, to me, that's kind of,
You'd have to give the
You have to
basis.
ground it in something if you're
Yeah.
gonna discriminate.
so
Well,
if
we
you're
could use the zones
base
that we
flood
already
elevation
have.
9 or 10, you could do it versus an 8.
Or an S-25 where you have a narrow lot, you can't do it, but.
So I don't think it would work in
60.
some areas.
Didn't we
but
just
would-
do it on that house we just approved?
yeah, on the.
Yeah.
That's an S-25,
Yeah.
oh, not S-25, I'm sorry, I'm
But it
thinking
is going-
25-foot lot, right?
It is compliant with the S25 standards.
I'm in an S25, I don't understand that.
I think there's a lot of things we still have to figure out about it, I wouldn't do that one just yet.
Well, then why don't you draw up what you think is best, and that, let us start from
Yeah.
there.
They do it in
In your
Ocean City
spare
all the
time.
time, right?
Ocean City,
For
Ventnor,
years.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
We're not
I-
Ocean City, we're
Or
Margate.
Ventnor, yeah.
God damn it.
That's right.
Yeah, golf course.
No, look, at my house, if I had another 3 feet, I could have a garage underneath. It's like wasted space down there and I'm getting old, I have to bend over to get under there, and I would rather have the space under the house with the garage under the house and have more land out there.
Then you'd have to sell the house because of those 5 more steps.
You come carry her up the steps.
And then you need elevators, you're gonna have more elevators.
Well, you will,
They're
but
coming anyway.
that doesn't hurt that's pretty getting standard, and it doesn't hurt the value of the neighborhoods. Those outdoor squeaky things, dude,
Is it possible we can come up with a width standard before a height? So it doesn't look like we're building these cathedrals?
Look, I've gotten complaints about garage doors in the front, everybody's getting so high. This is what it is, it's post-Sandy, and even post-Sandy, they've raised it 3 feet, 1 foot at a time
Yeah.
on what we have to do. It's just what, fact of life on a barrier island is these things are gonna have to be higher. We're saying, okay, well, we're that close, if we go up a couple more feet, we can actually make the whole underneath of the house for storage, which alleviates the garages and the sheds. So, I mean, I think in that case, it's a good idea. I had never even considered 2 garages or a double car garage, but our lots are so narrow that,
What's our negative impact of the garages and the sheds though, that we want these underneath?
the negative impact, ground coverage, vegetation coverage.
The sheds are still gonna go. If they don't have a detached garage, they will build a shed.
But you can put a door under your house and have a giant room.
They're gonna want, everybody wants everything, they're gonna want it still. I'm just trying to think.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you have that extra room under there, unless you're
If you have an
building
empty
living
lot and
space
the
that you're not
builder's
using.
like, we're gonna get you this underneath, they're gonna say, oh, what about my shed or my garage? They're like, well, this is your garage, but I got you a shed.
I mean, I'm building a house now, and
But we're not prohibiting sheds.
Right.
they were,
Sheds are
they were
still
gonna
allowed.
put a shed in, and then they realized they're so high that they don't need a shed. 'Cause we
Yeah,
have 3 doors going around the house. for
Right, you have access
Right.
to the crawl space from
Yeah.
everywhere.
You would rather have more ground coverage outside.
Right.
Well, I'm saying from a green point of view, from a visual point of view or whatever, you're now getting rid of these extra 250
Right.
square foot buildings and having open space with landscaping and trees and apparently on Lancaster Avenue stones. Now, that's not allowed, is it?
No.
100 block? Who said that? Did you say that? Which side of the street, Atlantic City or Bentley? I mean, Atlantic City or Longport? No, they put stones in.
Third house in,
Oh, look.
New house?
I think it's renovated.
Hedges Garage?
Hmm?
Hedges Garage?
Right around what Hedges' house was, I don't know whether.
Yeah, well, they turned their garage into a house. That's a house now, too, so. I'll look on the way home.
So I got, Jim, so if you had a house that
I'll be riding a
you
bike.
said it had to be, the finished floor had to be at elevation 12, 88 in that zone, so how much higher is that house gonna go now?
You're in 12, zone 12?
No, if you're building a house where your house, your finished floor has to be at 12.
Right.
So what are we talking about doing? How many feet are we gonna raise?
Well, say the existing grade, because that's where it's based off
It
is.
depends
is-
on where the street level is. It's,
I'm not talking about the garage thing, I'm talking about
Oh.
the new, the FEMA things.
I
So
thought we were 13.
In lieu of using treated lumber for the floor joists, are we gonna, we're gonna allow you to go up 1 or 2 feet higher?
No, you're going 4 to the finished floor. Just remember, 4 to the finished floor. So if you're in a 9, just add 4.
Okay,
You're in an 8, add 4. You're in a 10, add 4.
okay,
The finished floor. It rhymes.
okay.
the reason we had the exception for 8 before was the new rule was less than what the old rule was. So we made 8s be the same with 9, and I guess if we, with this, we don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't want to make it lower than pre-Sandy. That's the
Right.
way the rules came out. It was crazy.
Right, okay. So whatever zone you're in, you add 4 feet to the finished floor.
Unless you're in the garage.
But if you're in a garage, it depends on where the ground
Right,
level is.
right. Okay,
So some people would have to do it, some people wouldn't have to do it.
okay.
So say your existing grade is 6, you're in the 9 zone, you have to go to 13 anyway, so you
Right,
give them 9 feet, they're at 15, so there's 2 more feet. Why not?
yeah. No, I like the idea, but,
The ones where you're going to notice it are the ones where it's really high, and other houses aren't that high because they don't have garages under them, and then you're
Right.
going to have a house with a garage, like you were talking about on Argyle.
Yeah, we approved the one on Douglas and the beach, for the garage under it so they could put the pool underneath it, and that's gonna be a 4-story one, and all the others are still 2 stories.
Well, we're gonna have an application coming in pretty soon for the one we just approved on Douglas Avenue, that one, the split level. With the BFE change, they're going up 2 more feet, so now they wanna come in for a height variance to get another foot to put the parking underneath.
Which, Douglas and the Beach?
They built a brand new one there,
No, Iroquois, I think.
Iroquois.
Is it Iroquois? Terry Commons.
Yeah, Jasper.
Oh, Jasper.
Right.
Right. The one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a nice house.
Right.
Oh, so they have to go up another 2 feet, and then so they can put the garage under?
They want the garage underneath.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that's got 98% coverage now, the existing house?
It was 98%.
Yeah. And the neighbors were complaining about that.
98?
Yeah, it was up there.
Yours 100, right?
No, that's Tom Collins.
You left.
Well,
That's,
if it's not in there, put it in there and as best as you can from what we've said, and then we can
I'll
discuss
draft
it
a
further.
sample just for,
Yeah.
instead of giving that to the consultant.
Okay.
We'll take a look at that.
Anything else?
That's it for now.
Your meeting be adjourned? Yeah.
So if someone submits for new construction, they're gonna have the option of either or, going up or adding a detached garage. And if they opt for the detached garage, that's gonna count as building coverage.
We were still discussing that, yeah, that's gonna,
So,
we didn't settle that.
so it'll.
I'll tell you, let's put it this way, if you count it as building coverage, you're gonna see every house have a garage underneath.
But is that a good thing when you are at the real high areas?
Can you make that one? It's lot coverage? And there's no more building coverage, it's lot coverage.
No, because,
Put a pool around the house, it's not going.
no,
Why couldn't you do that?
because then you're gonna see a giant house. You're gonna see that building envelope
Okay.
completely filled up,
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like
and you're still gonna see variances.
yes, about raising the house and putting the garages under it, is you have no front of the house anymore, you have no front door, you have no entrance.
No,
It's
you
just-
do. Look right across the street from me. I got 3 of them.
Yeah, you do that. But not the double garage doors. You know the double garage door across the street from your house.
Yeah, I do. Kate.
Double garage, big.
Kate Palmer.
You better take a ride down Lancaster Avenue. There's a lot going on
I'm
there.
talking about like on, this end of town, multifamily.
Wild West.
Multifamily, and you got double garage doors.
No, that's,
You got a single thermal door there, and that's all it is.
no, I'm saying with one garage door, you have room for the steps and a deck, and you have that. If you have
One
2.
garage door, yeah.
Exactly, that's what we're talking about, just one garage door.
But that might not be enough, like you said,
You can,
One car in front of the garage, one car in the garage.
you could put 2 cars in the garage, straight through. It goes the whole length of the house.
Can we do something like a single garage door?
Yes.
So, and you can't put 2 garage doors in like Ocean City?
What if
You can have a
60-foot
single-
wide lot?
What's that?
What if you have a 60-foot wide lot?
The multifamily ones have double garage.
You could also
Well,
make it
yes.
a percentage of the front of the house. It can't be more than a percentage with a minimum of 10 feet or whatever the width is.
That's good.
So when you go straight through and you allow cars to stack inside, you could put a double and actually get 4.
No,
Plus have
you
your,
can't put a double. That's what we're saying. Don't
Can't.
put doubles in. Because on a 40-foot lot, you put doubles in and you've got garage doors. You don't even have steps to come down. I'm saying you could put 2 cars in stacked, another car in front of it, then you've met your parking requirement. If you have 6 bedrooms, then you'd still need one more spot off-street. We don't have all the answers here. This is why we're bringing up all these issues, so he can construct something.
You cut down a lot of mass on that.
but it just seems like if you stack the cars inside the garage that way, they're never going to do it anyhow.
Well, they don't park in the driveway now either. But if you put 2 garages in, then you got curb cuts across the whole front of the house, and you can't even park in the street. Yeah.
Making all the front yard setbacks at least 18 feet.
Pardon me? Could you speak in the microphone?
That was another topic of discussion, is these front yard setbacks, where the prevailing setback, which is a moving target every day, instead of having just a consistent number.
Well, yeah, but our minimum's 5, and that's not a good number.
No.
Seems like everybody wants a porch, and that throws a
Well, that's not a bad thing. But look at the Hiltner case, or, no, I'm sorry, the,
Hartman.
Hiltner case.
what was
It
her
was
name?
the Hilton
Hiltner,
case, but
Hartman.
we get, you get
The
calling
the
it-
Hartman case. Nobody in that range had a front porch after you took the high and the low out. So then they can't have a front porch. And that's really it is a hardship. You need the variance to have the front porch. And their front porch, Roger made the point, well, this is going to make the average closer. It really didn't, because the existing front porch, it's still less than the existing front porch. So the average on the street is actually going to go down. That front porch had a 7-foot setback or whatever, and now they're back at 11 foot. If they were back where they should have been, which no front porch, of course the average would have been higher, but the average with what we approved is still going to be lower than what it exists now. But you can't count your own porch. You don't count your own, right? You count the neighbors on the sides for 200
I usually, if
feet.
the house is being torn down, I don't count it. If it's just an expansion,
Right.
you should show the existing.
Oh, you do if it's an expansion, right? Yeah, I was looking with a friend at a house on Douglas Avenue, and it was the same thing. We looked on the side, every porch was cut into the house. So there was porch setback and building setback were the exact same. The one next door had a nice porch out front, but that was the closest, so you had to throw that out. So it ended up 4 comparable houses had allowed 0 porch unless you put it in your house. So, yeah, that is but that's what variances are for, to look at it and say, yeah, that's not right. That's not what we meant. Or
One
that wasn't
idea
the intent of the master plan.
would be assigning a hard number for the porch, a hard number for the face of the house, or do it like that rear yard, which is a percentage of the lot depth.
The rear yard is a percentage of the lot depth.
Right. I'm saying do it the same way for the front.
Oh,
Does the porch count for building coverage?
No.
No. Okay. So it's not
Not
like a
here.
garage, which is attached, it does, but the porch,
Porch counts against lot coverage,
Lot
not building
coverage.
coverage.
okay.
If it's converted to a sunroom, then it becomes building coverage.
well, what's lot coverage as opposed to vegetative, you mean?
Yes.
For-
vegetative.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Now I understand what you meant. You have to have so much vegetative anyway, so you can only go so far with the decks. You can't have vegetation under a deck,
People,
right?
I just did an inspection yesterday, and I have a lawn underneath a deck.
It just, no, I'm saying it doesn't count for,
And the grass is only growing where the slots are for
Yeah.
the wood. I just hope they're not counting that as
Under a roof.
vegetative coverage.
but it,
Back to the wall, that should count as landscape.
yeah, under the eaves of the roof, you mean?
Under eaves, it does count.
Yeah, but under decks, it
Under
doesn't. Even if
projections
it-
and
even if
decks, no,
it's
it doesn't.
Landscaped, it doesn't count.
No, doesn't that count?
Right.
Because it's gonna die, they're gonna fill it in with concrete anyway.
All right, with all the sage advice you've gotten tonight, come up with what you think is best and let us all see it.
All right, give me a couple minutes.
Are we still holding on to greenhouse plans? Or do you want them back, or are they gonna be all new? We still have greenhouse plans that was postponed, and we were told to hang on to them. We can discard the 11 plans that we've been saving. Discard. Greenhouse.
Greenhouse restaurant.
Yo 11. Not until the overlay district gets passed or not passed. What's this one?
Why do we keep this
This is
8511?
done. Keep the subdivision plans.
Oh,
Okay.
one additional thing is we're developing a wireless network ordinance because all the wireless companies want to come in here and put additional poles throughout the city for wireless receivers. Right now, we don't have any regulation on that, so Scott and I are working on, we're getting pressure. So we have a model ordinance, we're basing it off of that, and hopefully next meeting we'll have a presentation. No, they're talking about existing utility poles and new poles.
No. What's it look
No,
like?
not what you're thinking of Stone Harbor? No, that's not what we're talking about.
No, we're talking about an addition to the pole, right? Something they attach to the
There's
pole,
antennas on the top of the pole.
just like they are on the water
and there's a
towers.
receiver.
They're attaching them to
If you
telephone.
go to Ocean City Gardens Parkway, you'll see a bunch in the gardens right there in the north end. Just a no, it's not. But we don't want them on the beach. We don't want them in the parkway. Right now, we don't have any regulations stopping that.
So you're working on that.
Yes. Well, actually, we have another ordinance that we're looking at that would help regulate that too.
Because they are really ugly. I mean, they're screaming down there, they're just illegal.
That was Stone Harbor, yeah.
Well, that,
Well,
it's hard
yeah,
to do
their
with
main
where the-
transmission lines that
right.
come in from the main feed from offshore. But take a ride to Stone Harbor and you'll see what we're talking about. Partially, right, right.
No, you don't want them even the side streets. You don't want these giant metal poles right in front of your house.
I don't see it affecting Margate. No, it's probably going to be.
Gladstone Avenue, they could put it, because that water tower's right there, and they could.
Would we allow something in the ABC building down there in Margate? That's what's happening to people.
Well, a lot of Margate towers, these places have them on top. We have them on the water tower.
They get paid over for
Well, they come in for approvals from us.
it. We did one on the ABC.
Yeah, but we're talking about putting them on telephone poles now.
Is that Tom Collins?
Is the door locked?
I heard you.
Club Wawa.
Who is it?
Club Wawa. Yeah, you're up.
Would you make a motion, please? No, no, no.
Now they're on the next window. I think it's just someone messing with you.
Yeah.
Get him. It's kids. Uh-huh.
Good for them.
Damn George.
All right, did we make a motion to adjourn?
Despina did and Mike seconded it.
Okay.
Favor.